I recently posted a commercial on this channel that's been getting a lot of attention, and I thought I'd go over a breakdown about it, as well as go over some of the questions that have been asked a lot. And for those who haven't seen the video, here it is.
I think about fitness as a means to achieving human potential. That pushing personal limits leads to higher living. I see life as the ultimate training ground, and every day is an opportunity to evolve who I am. I like to inspire, challenge, and empower people to do what's already in them to do. I live by our mantra: push, evolve, become.
Now this commercial is a narrative piece, and it focuses around an athlete and her fitness journey. Now, full disclosure that this was a spec project, and this is a project that I didn't undertake myself. This was done by a full production team that I'm working under, as well as some outside people that we talked to. From directing, camera operation, gaff and grip work, as well as the amount of post-production that was done on this project, this is not really possible for a single individual to do. For this project specifically, I was operating as the DOP as well as editor. And to say this is personally one of our best pieces of work. Alright, the gear used in this project. So when I posted this on YouTube, obviously it's titled the FX3. This was a combination of the Sony A7S3 as well as the FX3. But when I posted on Instagram and my stories and all that, everybody was really curious about the camera we used. A lot of people were surprised when we told them that this was actually shot at FX3. And then this is due to a colorist. A professional colorist who knows what they're doing can work wonders on footage. When it came to lens selection, we have a bunch of Sony lenses in our arsenal, but we used a 24-70 G Master, and on that lens we had a 1/8 Hollywood Blackmagic filter. The only other lens that we used in this was a 20mm Nikon, and that was just a lens that I rented from my friend. Next thing is pre-production. I have the Millinote here that we used open, but this project was entirely spec, meaning that we weren't paid to do anything. We saw this as an investment. Obviously, we'd love to shoot this on a more professional camera, but we didn't have the money to do that. But we invested the money into a proper colorist, score, and sound mixing. The main reason this project started is because we had access to a really unique location that we had the ability to shoot on. The talent had access to a rooftop gym in the heart of downtown Toronto. And this was the main reason the project started. We always toyed with the idea of, what's gonna be our next spec piece in terms of narrative content. And then this opportunity opened up itself. There was sort of a plan in general of the look we were going for, but we really just wanted to shoot something cool at that location and figure out the rest later. This is a terrible way to run production, so I don't recommend it, but for us, it really worked out. Once we had that footage from that location, we planned out everything else in terms of how to fill those gaps in terms of the edit we were looking for. And this gave way to the whole concept of the whole video, which is the athlete reflecting on her personal fitness journey as she looks back into these different scenes from the beach. Which brings us into the breakdowns I'm going to be going over in each scene. And first, we're going to start with the beach. For the beach scene, we shot at sunrise, and for that time of year, the window we had was from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. And this gave us that gradient in the sky you can see. For this, we had to do a location scout a couple days before to plan that out, because we know that we were working with a limited amount of time. A location scout is always recommended for every production that you're planning to shoot. It just makes things a lot easier, and that's what the director and I did. This section was shot on the FX3, and it was all handheld. When I go about shooting a narrative commercial like this, I like to keep the camera rolling and have the director direct each sequence the talent has to go through. This, I find, gets the best candid shots, and that's what we're trying to display, that the actual natural behaviors, the natural cadence of the athlete, in this case Jen. Some of the best shots in this video are the director and the assistant director / producer joking around about certain things, and that's what really captured the whole feel of this spec project. So we just kind of went through each sequence of her walking to the beach, and then doing some exercises at the beach, and then we got some specific shots that we needed in terms of the whole breathing aspect that you saw here with the just dolly out. On every different scene, I like to get a lot of whips and fast motions just to help fill in gaps when editing. This is just my style of editing, and it's just a recommendation for me. In this scene, no lights were used. In some scenarios, we could have used a bounce, but it ended up working out. All right, the next scene we're gonna look at is the rooftop gym. And I would say that this scene was the most complicated in terms of lighting and camera movements. We first shot some heroes of the subject at the location of the rooftop where the subject was framed into between two buildings. This is just classic composition when you're looking at framing up a subject. We have multiple leading lines just pointing right at the subject. For this, we simply had a Nanlite mix panel 150 with a red color and shot multiple angles of the subject doing different things. Wides, tights, just got full coverage. For the rest of the shooting, we shot the workout area, and that was lit by 8 Titan tubes acting as kind of practicals, and it had a hair light to the subject, a Forza 500 on a Fresnel to add ambience and a spotlight effect, and with the same panel light with a bounce kind of to booklight the subject, and then that was just to add a key when moving close on the subject as well. As I said, this was the first location we shot when shooting this project, and it was pretty free-flowing in terms of the director and I working together. We planned out 3 exercises for the talent to go through, and then we kind of freestyled a lot of the shots in between. There's only one gimbal shot in the full commercial, and that's on the A7S3. That just made it easier to switch between rigs. We set up some items in the foreground here, as you can see, and had the Titans in the back when I was running beside her. This just helped fill in the shot, and so it didn't look so flat. So we kind of have 3 layers of separation. We have the foreground, we have the midground, which is where the subject is, and then the background with the lights, as well as even deeper in the background where you have all the buildings. The last scene we're going to talk about is the gym, and that was pretty simple. It was just her training a friend that she called in to do this. It was nothing too special here. We didn't have a location scout, so we brought everything and tried to light the space with what we had. But in the end, the best course of action was to keep house lights on, and then we used the panel as a key again. We shot this similar to really anything we shoot. We just sequenced it out and got multiple angles. We got the tight and wide and really called it a day. And then this is where we did the main hero. We just brought the panel in a little bit closer, and this is the only slow motion of the actual full video that we got. That was kind of a mistake in our part. I feel like in some of the portions of the video, we could have used some slow motion, to chop it up. But it ended up working out, and then this is just one of those things where it's just like you rather overshoot than undershoot, and then this scenario that we didn't have enough footage, and we didn't have enough time to shoot everything in slow motion, because ideally you want to shoot one thing and then reshoot it in slow motion or get something similar of what you just shot in slow motion. Everything's a learning process, and this was a huge project that we learned about. And that brings me into post-production. As I said, I was the editor on this, and I'm not going to go into too much detail into this editing breakdown because there was so many revisions in working with a composer and somebody who was doing sound. That was my first time doing that, which was a great experience. And the only thing I would have to say is that this is a more commercial style of editing. As I go along in my cinematography and editing career, and I would say mostly I'm an editor, I've picked up a lot of things in terms of the styles and stuff I like, but I can never really dip my toes into that commercial style. And this is the project that really pushed me towards that. And this was due just to the director, assistant director, and producer just giving me so much feedback in terms of what they're specifically looking for. Like I said, there's a specific look with that commercial style in terms of pacing, in terms of shot selection. It ended up being more that dreamy, ethereal vibe that we landed on that everybody was pleased with, and ultimately I was happy with as an editor as well. I got a lot of questions about how this was colored, and it was colored by a professional in Baselight. Yeah, we paid for professional colors, and we had a live session with him, and it was amazing to see what he could push the look specifically for, especially with Sony footage. He's mainly working with maybe 444 ProRes raw footage, and in this case this camera shoots 422 10-bit, which is pretty good, but I was just amazed of what he could do with that. Yeah, and that's kind of gonna do it for this video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. This was an amazing experience for us, and we wanted to share it with you. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more.